Hi, everyone, and welcome back to your Homegirls podcast. I'm Fatima.
I'm Jillian.
And I'm Sharon.
Okay, so today I just really want to get into why Canadian consumer debt is at $2.32 trillion, which makes each individual have a debt of about, I think they said like about $21,000.
Oh my
What
God.
do you guys think of that?
I am shocked it's that low per person.
Yeah, I thought it'd be lower than that, to be honest, from what I've heard between a lot of friends and family and clients I've worked with.
Yeah, that's fair. I think, like, I know personally, like, a lot of friends, or like even like I had student debt to the tune of like
Fair enough, yeah, student debt is a big-
30,000 plus, you know, like I've had a lot of friends with a lot more than that. Plus if you like own a car or like being in school trying to pay credit cards and stuff.
Yeah, I think the statistic is strictly consumer debt. So it
Yeah.
doesn't actually include student loans, and it doesn't include any mortgages. So that's just
Okay.
like
Like debit.
Like
yeah,
credit
like
card,
credit
okay.
card. Yeah.
Then that seems pretty high.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is, it's crazy, but it's not crazy at the same time, because when I was working at the bank, it was just so sad to see how many people didn't even really understand how their credit card works.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not even gonna lie, before I joined the bank, I didn't actually fully understand like everything about how a credit card works. And it's just bizarre to me that we don't learn that before we're allowed access to credit cards.
Yeah, like it's funny that like when you go get your first credit card when you're 18 or whatever,
Yeah.
they're not like, this is how this works. This is like when you need to make your payments and blah
Yeah.
blah. Like you'd think that like your bank human how they're called, would you run you through it?
Yeah.
But they don't.
Instead, you get like the package, and it's so much
to read it.
writing. Who's gonna read that at
No
18
one.
years old that just got
Exactly.
access to like $500 or $1,000?
Oh my god, I've never read
So that's
anything.
the thing. Like, we were talking about this in another episode. We don't understand why there isn't like courses in high school when you're so close to becoming an adult on financial literacy. It's honestly so weird, because it's almost like they're setting you up for disaster
Yeah.
to become an irresponsible person with money. And then when the time comes and you're irresponsible with money, it's almost like you're blamed for it.
Yeah.
And it really isn't your fault, because you don't know. Like, you're almost ignorant to it, and it's not your fault if there's other people around you or, you know, the government who can help you and educate you on making these decisions and help you understand how it works.
Yeah, it's actually like it's bizarre to me, because first of all, like, not everybody, you would think, how does a credit card work? Your brain doesn't even start to think about things like your credit card cycle, which every credit card cycle is different. What your minimum payment actually entails, how your interest is added up, that a cash advance is not just withdrawing cash physically from an ATM. There's just so many things to learn, and as young people, we should be taught about these from high school. And so I always remember, like, at the bank, seeing people's credit card statements, and at the bottom it shows you how much, if you just pay minimum payments, how many years it would take you to pay it off and how much interest you would pay. And it's typically like about 70 to 80 years if you just make minimum payments, and you end up paying like 6 digits of interest.
Yeah,
Oh my
like
God.
that's insane.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, like, personally, like, I got offered a line of credit this year, and my mom's always been like, if you get offered any type of credit, like, take it. But, like, don't necessarily use it. I literally don't even know how the hell it works. So I'm just like, whatever. Like, they sent me the checks. Like, that's sitting in a drawer. It's like, in case of emergency, I have this, like, these funds accessible. But, like, I'm not even going to touch it. Because I'm just like, oh, God, I don't even want to know what kind of debt that's going to turn into.
Yeah. It's just dangerous, because, like, I don't know about you guys, but you don't even realize how much you're spending, because we're just tapping, inserting.
Yeah.
We could so easily not log into our online banking and check. It's just, we can,
Disassociate.
yes, exactly, distance ourselves from our bank accounts.
Yeah. It's almost subconscious, because it's like, oh, I know what I'm doing is wrong, but I can't help it. And it's almost like an addiction to
Yeah.
tapping. Having these funds, these intangible funds that could potentially ruin your life, as opposed to cash, is so, it could be really detrimental. You could really just spend your life away and not realize it. And then when the time comes, you're faced with almost like a existential crisis in a way, because
Yeah.
it's like, I'm in debt, but it wasn't physical money, it was online money. I feel like even to this day we've had credit for so long, and even cryptocurrency now, but like the thought of even ruining your tangible life with something intangible is absolutely so crazy to me.
It makes it so easy for us to not realize the hole we're going down and how deep we're digging ourselves into this hole, that all of a sudden when you decide to wake up, you look up and you're like, you're so far from getting out of this. And then so many issues come of that. Like, I mean, even I think we talked about this too in one of our latest episodes as well. Like, finances are a huge part of like relationships and marriage, and people are just always uncomfortable talking about money, and so it just leads to becoming like a taboo topic. No one ever wants to ask, how much are you earning, how much are you making, how much are you spending? And so it's like a hush suffer with money or without money alone.
Yeah, I know. It's always like been something like I remember jobs I've had where I've like discussed my salary, and I mean like part-time or like, you know, kind of like university jobs where I'm making close to minimum wage or whatever. But whenever I've worked anywhere, like I'll tell all my coworkers who are on the same level like what I make, or if I know someone's getting a promotion, I say, okay, well, I make this much, so make sure they give you at least that much. I've always been that person to discuss money, or you know, I have a lot of friends who aren't like living like as independent of a lifestyle as I am right now, but they're kind of transitioning to that. So I'm like, okay, well, this is what this looks like for me. Like, these are what my expenses are, and like, this is how much I make. So if you're making X amount, like, plan for this stuff, you know, like I talk about it all the time. So, like, I feel like knowledge is power when it comes to money, and you need to know what to expect and what you're looking at and what's fair in terms of wage and stuff. And I feel like it's so ignored.
I agree too. Like, that's the type of person I've been to with my friends and family, because also on top of that, like, I've had manager experience and I've had employees under me where I felt that sometimes I didn't have a say in what they were making, and I would give them advice in regards to that. And also because I had an upbringing where I didn't have a lot of financial literacy, so I felt it was important to educate the people around me with the knowledge that I knew to the best of my ability. And even to this day, as I learn and grow myself, it's still something I want to be able to help and contribute. And I know you girls want to do that as well, and you in particular, because you have so much experience with that background. Yeah,
and I feel like I just love a good budget too. She's
our budget queen.
It was 2019 that I really started getting into budgets and trying to get my finances in order. Conveniently enough, and probably that had an influence, that's when I worked at the bank as well. And so books like Broke Millennial or Dave Ramsey, listening to his steps to financial freedom, Asia Dang on YouTube, those were like my holy grail of the path I was about to create for myself. And so that's when I really started to budget, and now it's become like budgeting is just like second nature. It's habitual. Once I get my pay, whatever pay it is, being in real estate, sometimes it's unreliable because it's our commission, but also I have a stable income. So just combining the two and realizing or deciding where the funds should go, it's time consuming, but it's also fun when you get the end result you want.
Yeah, I agree. That's the thing too, being in real estate, it's such an important aspect. If you do not budget or have any financial literacy, it's almost like you could be successful, but you won't necessarily be successful in any other areas of your life. So I could be making so much commission and be such a good realtor, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm keeping that money if I'm not financially literate enough. So as a realtor, I found that it's been so important for me to be able to find that sort of level where I'm able to create this budget and be a little bit more consistent with keeping a budget, because sometimes, like you said, the money is inconsistent. It's not a guaranteed income, so you want to be able to plan ahead, right?
Yeah, it's not one of those things where you can get, you know, like yeah, maybe your commission check is $10,000, $15,000, even $20,000 sometimes, but that could be the only one for 6 months. You don't know. And not to mention being self-employed, you know, setting aside funds for taxes and understanding like how write-offs work, and all that kind of stuff. It reminds me of that the Schitt's Creek episode where I think David, there was actually two things. Like, there's one, he like bought cream on his credit card and his dad's like, well, how are you gonna pay for that? And he goes, what do you mean? I already paid for it. And he's like, what do you mean you paid for it? You put it on your credit card. He goes, exactly, I paid for it with my credit card. It's paid for. And his dad's like, you have to pay your credit card. And he goes, what do you mean my credit card is paid for with my credit card? And then another episode, he was like buying stuff for his business and he bought like a lip gloss or something. And he's like, well, it's a write-off. And his dad's like, do you even know what a write-off means? And he goes, yeah, it means I wrote it off and I don't have to pay for it. It's like, no, it doesn't.
I freaking love that show. But that's
so true.
Honestly, it's so true though. I feel like if nobody taught you, if you didn't have parents, like you said, like I didn't have parents that were like that financially literate and savvy with money. And so where else are you going to learn if you're not being taught?
Exactly.
You're just going to make your own like ideologies up on how these things work.
Yeah, I think I was like lucky enough. My mom's obviously in real estate, so I like understand the whole like put some money aside for taxes and like this is how write-offs work and that's how it impacts your taxes and like whatever else. Like I understand that. Does my mom employ it all the time? Not always. Sometimes she's like, I should put a little bit more aside for taxes, but I want a vacation. But it's like whatever, like it all evens out. But like she like understands and she was able to teach me. Yeah. And I'm like super thankful for that I'm not going into this like blind. Like what the hell do I do? Like like you get paid $10,000 or whatever, but then X amount goes to your brokerage, and then your fees, and then you need to eat for until your next check. You need to live. You need to set aside your taxes. Like all of these things come up, and it's like, yeah, 10 grand all at once seems real fun, but are you gonna do something smart with that, or are you gonna screw yourself over? Yeah, you got to think about like the real numbers and how they apply to your life. Do you guys use budgets on your daily basis? Do you find yourself like leaning towards any specific budgeting style?
Yeah, for the most part, not necessarily on a daily basis, but it kind of stemmed from kind of being irresponsible with finances in high school. I actually learned a lot from my boyfriend, who is super into finances, accounting, things like that, and we used to budget together all the time, and it's something I still use to this day. I'm not necessarily sure what the style that I use is called, but I more so take my pay and I see what kind of bills are upcoming and I allocate it to the necessary areas, and then I set aside for like savings and other areas that I'm looking to accumulate money for. But yeah, so I use a general budget for the most part.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like a zero-based budget where every dollar has a job.
Yes, I think, yeah. I guess vibes. I allocate every dollar.
Yeah, vibes. I feel like that's where I'm at in my life a little bit. We're like young, living alone, like still like paying off like some like student loans and that kind of thing. But like what I do, because I serve a little bit, at the moment, my vibe is like tips are spending money. Like tips are like groceries and gas and like fun things, and then whatever goes into my bank account is for bills, and then like hopefully for a little bit of saving as well, and then for like like monthly loans as well, like monthly loan payments that I have to make on I think my student loans are like $80 a month right now or something. I'm getting there real close. But I'm also like, what I've done in the past serving is like at one point I was doing tips went into a jar, like literally stuck them in a mason jar like in the back of my bookshelf, so I didn't think about them, but I put all my big bills, so my 50s and 100s, and I just did that for like 6 months and saved up, and it was like first and last for my next apartment, and I just gave it to my mom and I made her pay for it so I didn't have to put the money in my bank account. Yeah.
No, that's really smart, and I feel like it's easiest to save when you don't see the money.
100%.
If you see it, you just can't help it. You're like, it's there. I gotta spend it.
I know.
I gotta give it a job.
I have a different. So the money I get, my money deposited into, so like paychecks, commissions, things like that, is actually separate. I save with a completely different bank. I have all my savings accounts with different banks so that I don't see them.
Yeah, I feel like that's my problem. Like I need to save with a different bank. So if I have money going into a different account. Like I use like a savings account, a checking account with my normal bank, but you know, sometimes it's a little tight and it's like the checking account's getting like close to empty, but I want to do something, so I'll just transfer the money over and I'll just leave it, like I'll put it back after the next pay, and then I never put it back because I'm 23 and living my life. So yeah, like for me, I closed my second bank account just because I was like not using it and like paying like a stupid monthly fee for like I don't know, like $18 a month. Like it seemed like a waste of money, but that's like what I do with cash. Like I hide my cash away and I'm like, that's my savings.
I like to save cash too, but I also get nervous because I'm like, I could be accruing interest, I could be saving so much more. But I was gonna ask, like, what kind of budgets do you use? Because I know you definitely use one.
Yeah, I use quite a few actually. So I've got I should have brought it with me. I have a little envelope, and it's got a picture of a bear holding a duck, and the bear is Rajiv, and I'm the duck because my nickname is Ducky in Arabic, Batta.
So cute.
So inside that envelope, I have a bunch of folders. So it's like the cash stuffing envelope method.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So when we get paid, so we have like an envelope for entertainment, an envelope for groceries, an envelope for gas. I've got 5 envelopes in there, and I don't know why I'm having a brain fart right now, but there's 5 envelopes in there, and I'll stuff it, and I typically do that at the first of each month, because lucky enough our mortgage is on the 15th, so doing that at the first of each month gives us a chance to like allocate everything, and then that's it. That's the money in there. I gotta make it work. Once the cash is done, it's done, and I find that really helps keep me in line. And yeah, it's pretty strict, and sometimes it's so hard to stay within it because if you use too much from one envelope, you got to steal from the other envelope. So it's like a little bit of not a punishment, but if you mess up somehow, you are essentially losing out on money from the entertainment folder maybe. But that and sinking funds and like a little bit of a percentage based budget.
I was gonna ask, so how would that typically work? Like when you get paid, you will withdraw money the first of the month?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
So, and there's people who do it online too, because now you can have multiple online accounts. So some people don't like cash. I just like cash because I can get carried away with a card.
Yeah. So and it feels good. It's tangible, and it's like, okay, I made this physical.
This is my hard-earned money.
Yeah.
Work, sweat, and tears went into this.
And it's like a $20 bill.
I've been thinking about starting that. I just feel like for me it's a little too tedious, but I'm just lazy, so there's no excuse. But I mean, it's inspiring to hear that it's working for you, and it's maybe something I'll consider doing too.
One thing I've been wanting to try, I've seen this thing on like TikTok maybe, but a serving thing, which would be good for us. These servers got like, I don't know, like 100 envelopes and labeled it like 1 through 100. Okay. And after every serving shift, they'd pull an envelope, and whatever number was on the envelope, that's how much cash they had to put in it.
Ooh.
And then I think I was watching one girl, she was doing it up to 150. And I think by the end of it, so after 150 serving shifts, she would have saved like 11 grand or something, like with the accumulation. I forget what it is if you do $100, but it's like
5,000.
It's like 5 grand. It's a good chunk of change.
That is, and that I feel like people get so overwhelmed and feel so dreadful when you have to think about money, and then you can do fun things like that. I don't know, to me that sounds fun, and it's like exciting.
It's something I would want to do actually with my boyfriend, to save for a down payment for sure for a home. I think it would make it exciting and fun, and you did something similar to that, right?
Yeah, I literally drew a picture of a house and like broke up the house, and every time we saved an amount, I got to color in a piece of the house, and that just made it feel like motivation. Oh, I'm getting the whole roof is colored. Yay, we have a roof over our heads.
That's so cute.
Oh,
but
awesome.
It was good.
Yeah, I feel like obviously with a much smaller quantity of money, I'm sure I'm kind of doing that right now, because I'm obviously saving up for first and last, because I'm planning a move in a few months. So I'm like trying to set little goals for myself, like by this date I want to have this much, and like whatever. I think ultimately probably I'm just gonna be like, Mommy, I need $500. Pay you back next week. But like that's kind of what so I'm thinking about doing that like little envelope thingy, or like whatever it may be, but doing like like increments of like 25 or whatever, like having like a few that are like 100, because I feel like if I put $1 in the envelope, like I don't got that kind of time, you know. I don't got 150 serving shifts to save up my money. I got like 25. So I'm gonna try to like expedite it, but...
and make it, honestly, like we can make it into like a little personal challenge even between each other somehow, like each of us, like how much did you put in your envelope today, even like just as a regular savings. And I feel like if you do that with any goal you have, like for you, your first and last, maybe it's paying off a credit card, maybe it's saving for like something special, like a really nice purse or a pair of heels or whatever it is, then you feel, when you end up hitting the goal and you actually purchase the item, you feel so much more accomplished. You're like, I did that.
Because you actually physically are like opening up an envelope, licking it, writing it down every freaking day. So you are working for it.
And I think it's I think too, like a lot of people feel like they need to, you know, put like $500 away here and 500 there and whatever. Like I have it set up in my account that every 2 weeks it automatically transfers $25 to each of my credit cards to like make a payment, just so I don't miss payments. And then every week it's like $10 into my savings account. And like it's not huge by any means, but like, you know, I'll have like an extra $20. I'm like, all right, I'll stick that in my jar, like I'll transfer that over, like whatever. But like I just find that, you know, if I do have like a large amount that I can toss in savings at the time, like I will, but it's just kind of like more frequently, like tossing a 10 a couple times a week, like those amounts add up. Starbucks coffee twice a week, and it adds up, like it eventually does. Versus like if I'm, because I used to kind of have the mentality, I'd be like, you know, I'd wait till I had like an extra 500 to move over to the savings account, and then that never happened. But once I was like, oh, I'll just toss like a 20, because I have a spare $20. I always do. I always have $20 I can throw away. So
not gonna lie, I definitely need to keep down my Uber Eats to a minimum, because
I feel like that's a disaster.
So yeah, you guys know, like I actually Uber Eats wine today, so like I'm crazy. But yes, I, through my winter depression in December, I actually got one of those, like, this is how much you spent. I spent like $500 on Uber Eats. Like that's more than what I would spend on groceries, which is insane. So like I literally like smacked my hand and I was like, never again, don't do that. Like limit yourself.
I am such a cheap bitch. I will like call, if I'm like drunk at home, I will call someone and be like, come get me and take me to McDonald's, rather than paying like a $3 surcharge on delivery.
I am total opposite.
Absolutely not.
I could not have, let's say like I don't have the funds, I don't give a fuck. I will find it and it'll happen. I don't know what it is, but like I guess growing up I felt like I didn't have enough or something. I don't know. It's just something to do with childhood trauma, where when I finally have my own money, like this is what happened in high school. I had my own money and I was always spending it. But I mean,
same. I used to spend probably like $150 a week on clothes in high school.
Oh, that is insane.
$100 a week?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
100 to 150. I would get like packages in the mail like 3 or 4 times a week, and I'd go to the mall like once or twice a week and actually go shopping. Plus I'd like be buying like food and stuff. Like I worked nearly full-time in high school. From grade 10 to 12, I think I saved $2,000 to go to university with.
I know it's bad. Even honestly, even for me, I mean, I worked a lot and I saved none of it. It was it was a bit different because I had to, like, you know, personal expenses or whatever. But it's just so bad because like there is a chance, like if we knew better, I feel like there would have been a good chance. But also at the same time, we really like beat ourselves up? We were young. I
had fun
and we had money.
I'd love to put it into perspective real quick. First year I worked, I made about $5,000, and I remember being like, oh my god, $5,000, where did it go? In my grade 12 year, I made, I think my tax, like when I did my taxes, $16,700. Plus, like, at that point, my mom would, like, sometimes give me money and whatever. So, probably, like, closer to $20,000 in my grade 12 year. $2,000 to go to university with. $2,000. So, I spent, at the ripe age of 17, I spent $18,000.
Shopping and eating.
Shopping, eating, gas. I mean, I would go on, like, some trips and stuff. Like, and I was pretty independent, but like my mom still paid for my phone bill. I wasn't, you know, paying for my car at the time. My mom was. I wasn't paying rent. Like literally having fun. $18,000.
That is intense.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you, Sharon?
I worked a lot in high school too, but I paid for literally everything, which is where my money went. But I also was a little irresponsible too, so that's the thing too. I would beat myself up, but it's like I was taking care of myself. So at the end of the day, like I felt that I worked hard for the money and I deserve to enjoy it sometimes. So that's why I don't beat up myself up sometimes.
I did beat myself up because my like basics were covered. Like my mom wouldn't pay for me to like go shopping and shit. She's like, absolutely not. She's like, I will pay for like the basic necessities, and then like, so groceries, phone, and then I got my car for my birthday. So, and then she paid a year of my insurance. But yeah, like I was strictly having fun with that money. So I do kick the hell out of myself all the time. I'm like, oh my God, if I just had like 5,000 of that. But then I know too, like, I mean, I've bought 3 cars since then. Like I live I mean, you know, it wouldn't make a difference if I had that money today, but I feel like it would.
Yeah, it's always the thought of like, what if? But also at the same time, I feel like going through that phase, getting it done at a young age, now like, you know, we understand the value of money a lot more. And like, to be honest, kudos to us, because not a lot of teenagers work, and not a lot of teenagers work that much. And so we deserved it. Ultimately, that's what we did, and now we're doing better. Now we're adults, like adulting.
Got it together.
Got it together, budgeting.
We figured it out.
Yeah. And we're still going to continue to grow and learn. I mean, we still got a long way to go, and we're in an, like, we've emphasized this already, but we're in an industry where it's unpredictable what our income is going to be. And so we've got to be pretty damn savvy with our money. Yeah. And we're hustlers. Each of us works more than one job. We always are keeping ourselves afloat, and that takes a lot.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys. I have this like really, like funny quality about me. And I think it kind of stems from growing up with a mom who's in real estate. So like, you know, when you're buying a house, usually like $5,000 isn't a huge difference off your purchase price, because comparatively to like, you know, like $1 million house, it's so insignificant. And that's translated into like my everyday life because I'm in that world. So especially like one thing with me, like when I buy like a new car, they're like, oh, what's an extra like $4,000? I'm like, whatever. Throw it on. I don't care. And then I'm like, oh my God, I just spent 40 grand. Like, how did I do that? So that's where I'm really bad. Like, especially when it's something like on a loan, I'm like, no big. No
like
big whatsoever.
You're like, I'm gonna pay it later anyways.
Yeah, I'm like, I
maybe an extra $10 a month.
Monthly, that doesn't look that different. So
luckily, but then in the grand scheme of things, $6,000.
I was kind of the opposite. Like, I went into the dealership. I've had quite a few cars. Like this, I'm on my 5th right now. So the past 2 I've actually financed and gotten new from a dealership, which I'm grateful to have the opportunity to do that, because I've never had any luck getting used cars, and I just opted for new. So the last 2 cars, been proud of myself negotiating the price down. And I felt so proud of myself being able to take that monthly payment lower. Like right now I'm saving like $150 a month. Oh my God, just from negotiating with my dealership. They threw in like winter tires, rims, mats, and I was 20 years old when I negotiated this car. So that's badass. Myself. Yeah, I think there should be like a course or some sort of TED Talks or more information out there for women to be able to feel confident enough to go to a dealership and negotiate that price down, because it's so intimidating. They're trying to sell you all this stuff, or they don't even need to pay this much. Like, you don't need to pay this much. You can really bring the price down if you have that negotiating power, and anyone can do it. I guess from that moment negotiating my car, I knew I'd be a realtor.
Like, this is it. This is my calling.
Could also be a car salesperson. See the other end of
another lifetime.
I feel like those careers go hand in hand.
They do.
At least for me, I don't know, there was a stigma I felt me negotiating was like the other party would be looking at me like I didn't have enough money, or could have been an insecurity again that stems within me. But now I'm like, negotiating is power. Like when you're negotiating, it's because you have the power, you have the control, you've taken the situation and you've made it favorable to you, and you know exactly where their weak spots are.
Yeah.
So you're like, yeah.
And it's a way of carrying yourself too. And then on top of that, you're able to have such a good budget. You're able to, like, if you're negotiating something in regards to finances, it benefits you so much, and you're able to save money and to be able to have something favorable for you.
Yeah.
Also, like, straight up in like today's world, girl,
yeah,
you cannot pay full price for
anything.
No. You'll be bankrupt. Like a billionaire could go to the grocery store and pay full price for almond milk. They are on the streets. Like it's crazy.
Oh, it is crazy.
Just how expensive everything is these days. Like 100 grand is not what it used to be. No. And trust me, most people are not making 100 grand. Yeah. Like it's absolutely crazy. Like just the way that, like, economically, like, we're going right now. Yeah. And everything is so unaffordable, and like wages are just staying the same. Yeah. And yeah, it's absolutely nuts. Like you cannot afford shit. Yeah.
I really worry about like families with young children. I really think about it. I'm like, how are they even? I walk into the grocery store and it's a bag of produce. Like there's no meat in there, and it's well over 100. Like, no lie, something that should have just been like $25, $30 is over 100. And imagine now you have to add protein. You have to think about what your children need for nutrition. Yeah. I literally feel for it every time I walk out of the grocery store. And don't talk about Costco, because that place is a trap.
Well, the thing with Costco is like, okay, yeah, like, you know, per unit, we'll say it's cheaper, but like, it's so wasteful when you're getting produce and meat from Costco. Like,
I think it depends on your family. Like I guess it depends. I don't get produce from Costco because it does go to waste. But I do get meat from Costco, and that's why I got my chest freezer.
Yeah, like split it up so and freeze it. If you have the room to freeze it, 100%, worth it. But I know my mom gets her produce from Costco, and then I go to her house and I'm like, do you have any groceries for me? And she's like, yes, I just went to Costco and take all this spinach. Like, yeah, I grocery shop at my mom's house a good chunk of the time. I know yesterday, like I literally went out yesterday and I made dinner for like a friend and I last night. But I bought my groceries for the week, plus like I bought chicken, which is the only thing I usually wouldn't buy because we were cooking together, so we threw some chicken in our pasta. $95 for my groceries for the week. 4 years ago when I was in university, it cost me $25 to feed myself for a week.
That's insane. Yeah, that's really insane. And that's why I feel like everybody should adopt a budget, like take that into consideration. And you really, even if you're only saving like dollars here and there, it will add up. Just like we were saying, if you're just throwing in $10 extra to your savings each week, eventually that is going to turn into 100, 1,000.
Yeah, especially if you have an interest-bearing savings account, which even if you're throwing in dollars, you're still going to make pennies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I love that.
Exactly. I know.
We should get that on a t-shirt. Even if you're that in dollars, you don't make pennies.
Yeah. I know. I think that's like something like everyone needs to learn how to, or learn about, like set up like a tax-free like interest-bearing savings account.
There's a lot of people that live in scarcity when really they need to think abundance mindset. Yeah. And I think a lot of people lack that. With that scarcity, you're likely to spend more money. But with abundance, why do you need to spend so much when you feel abundant enough to know you have enough? You can, have a budget and feel like that is sufficient enough to be able to do research on maybe what other brands you could be purchasing at the grocery store that could still work for your grocery plans. There's a lot of different things you can do in order to be able to make a budget work for you.
And get those coupons, baby.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah. My favorite thing to buy is, and my family roasts me all the time, paper towels. I'm so sorry, I use way too much, and my favorite thing to find coupons for is paper towels. And I always get so excited when they're always stuck on the paper towels. I'm like, yes, I saved so much money today.
Just on paper towels.
I'm weird. Yeah.
I know. I'll like go for brands like when I'm shopping, because it's like 3 for $10 or like regular $4.50, and I'm like,
yeah, why wouldn't you? Like,
especially if it's like shit that's not gonna go bad, or like like yogurt like takes forever to go bad, or like crackers, whatever.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, yeah, let's bulk buy this.
Or even if
pizza pockets,
things you can freeze or make into soup, or like there's so much you could do. You can easily make, like, if you have leftover chicken or whatever, and you bought for 3 for $10. You can either freeze it, you can make chicken fried rice. There's so many things you can do.
Yeah.
You almost have to do research on how to not waste so that you can save more money for the next week.
That's like one thing I've always like envied. I feel like I'm a pretty decent cook. Like I can throw together like a good pasta anytime, whatever. But I want to get better at like being able to make meals out of the random bullshit in the cabinet. I feel like that's something my mom's really good at. Like she'll take, you know, like a can of whatever, like, you know, boring soup, and she'll just throw some random bullshit in it, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah.
how did you make
That's
this?
what, you know what? I have to thank my boyfriend for this, for teaching me how to budget at such a young age, teaching me a lot of recipes. He's such a good cook. He's very good with money. Like, I'm really grateful for him, because with those two coupled together, I'm able to save from food from going to waste, and save lots of money when it comes to grocery shopping. Because sometimes when I'm shopping without him, his little head is in my voice, or his voice is in my head. You know what I mean? His little voice is in my head. He's like, you don't need that, you're just not gonna finish it. Like, it's almost ingrained in me to hear what he would say. So like, that is what I'm super grateful for. I don't feel like a lot of people have that sort of guidance with to benefit from. But
Yeah,
shout out to him.
I know, it's funny, like even like cooking and like doing a lot of that stuff, like I didn't learn that much when I was younger. Like I learned, you know, like some of that useful stuff, but I think I called my mom like 4 times last week being like, how do you make breakfast sausages? Like how long do I cook it for? Can I do it this way? Like, can I make this way? Blah blah blah. Like, how do, like this guy that I dated taught me how to make rice and corn this summer.
Congratulations.
Like, I have made rice 5 times in my life. I fucked it up 4 times in my life.
Not to brag, but I started making rice when I was like 5. That's like a rite of passage in a brown household.
Yeah, no one taught me. They're just like, it just, you know, you just basically leave it. I'm like, well, I fucked it up.
I'm not even
so
joking.
gross.
When I was a kid, my parents would teach us how to make like tea, and they'd put it in like a baby bottle when we were children. Like, so cute. And like, I'd make my own tea in a baby bottle and go sit and like suck on it in my bed. I was like 5. Absolutely ridiculous. Did I need to learn it? No, but I did. And even banana bread, the first thing I ever made, it was in like an Elmo one of those books, and one of the pages had like a recipe. First thing ever I made on my own, and one of my favorite things to make to this day, because it's like so reminiscent and nostalgic. Yeah, so super cute.
But yeah, like actually cooking at home, first of all, it's an experience, so you're saving money on entertainment, you're saving money on food, you know what you're eating, it's healthy, so it's overall honestly beneficial to everybody, and it's a really essential life skill to have. I always, like, again, taking it back to budgets, I literally will make a list, what am I buying for food, so that there's no waste, and then with that list correlate my cooking schedule, and then literally try my best not to waste and think of like creative ways. And now we have like YouTube, Instagram, everywhere there's somebody cooking something new and different that we can follow.
Oh yeah, all day sun. That's all I do.
So much inspiration.
So how did you, like, did you find like learning how to like make budgets and stuff, like maybe on like a small scale, like with your groceries, or, you know, paying internet and phone bills and that kind of thing? Like, do you think that like, you know, helped you when you were trying to save for your home?
Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like I said, 2019, I'll never forget that year. And I'll never forget my landlords, by the way, because they gave us really affordable rent in the basement we lived in. And that was a huge part in us. I'm so grateful for that, and us being able to embark on our new journey. Like, honestly, without that affordable rent, I don't see how we would have gotten to where we are today. So that's why I think that when anybody is saving nowadays, the only advice I could give them is think long term, right? Don't focus too much about living a luxurious lifestyle now. Live modestly now in a way where you can save, so that in the long term you're winning. And so making a budget and drawing those houses and saving for each each increment of the window, the door, the roof, that was the only way, honestly, we found that worked for us. And I'm grateful also to have had Rajiv, because we were both on the same page. We combined our vision of owning a home together, and we sat down, we looked at each other, and we said, we're going to get this done. We were really transparent about both of our incomes, really transparent about where our money was going, and the key word there, we made it our money. That's how it was going to work for us.
Yeah.
So it wasn't his money, my money. It was our money. We used it to pay off each other's debt, bills, and save.
Yeah.
I love that. That was beautiful. I'm about to shed a tear. It really is inspiring. And you know what? I feel like couples should kind of look up to that. And I think me and my boyfriend do as well. To be transparent with one another. And when it comes to buying a home as a couple, or even if you want to buy a home with your friends or your family, I think it's really important to kind of understand one another's situation and work with it.
Yeah, and I think that's something, you know, that's kind of a bit of a divisive mentality.
Yeah.
Is the word I'm looking for. Where, you know, I know a lot of people who say our money's very separate. And then I know a lot of people who are like, no, we like share, you know, my money's your money. We're married, or we're together, we're long-term partners, blah, blah, blah. But I think with the goal of owning a house, like, or even sometimes renting, like my best friend and I are looking to rent, and it's like, okay, let's make sure like our credit scores are good so we get approved. And it's like, I'm saving right now. She's like, she lives at home. She's in like a different financial situation to me, where she doesn't have like a major monthly expense, right? And she's like, okay, well, I've got the down payment covered, so like, I mean, I'm gonna contribute my part. But she's like, if you're short for whatever reason, like if you need to pay rent and like you're short a few $100, like don't worry about it, I got you. But like, it's even just being friends, like it's very much this common goal of like, this is our goal, so if we need to like pick up a little bit of slack for each other, like we will. Like, and like, I know that I've got like the financial literacy down. She just has a more disposable income than I do at the moment. And like, we're just in, you know, different situations. But I think like when you, especially with purchasing a home, it's so important that you're on the same page and that you take steps together. Like if you want this person to go in on this major financial investment for you or with you, you need to be on the same page. Like you need to help each other with the debts. You need to help each other with the down payment. If someone's picking up the extra $1,000, $2,000, so be it. It's the common goal. Like, it'll sort itself out in the end.
Exactly. It is really about common goal and being on the same page. And it's so crazy because if you think about all of our foundation to all of our relationships, everything is about being on the same page. And being good with your money is about being good with your communication, whether that's with someone else or even with yourself. Be honest, be transparent, and be ready to face the money. Like be ready to face the debt. Be ready to openly discuss your goal. Don't be afraid of anything you have to overcome. Don't look at it as a negative. Like, just
sorry, I just had a thought. I'll tell you later.
Just go for it. Everybody has the ability to be good with money.
I feel like people make like the topic of money and income and whatever seem like a scary topic. Like it's not. Like, be open about it. Talk about how much you make. Like, talk about, you know, like all these things. Like, and I feel like even talking it through with a friend, being like, oh, this is my income and this is like my debt and like this is what I'm like, maybe they can give you some insight on like how to handle that and like where to, you know, how to budget properly if it's, you know, someone who's maybe a little bit more financially literate than you. I feel like speaking about your income with coworkers, make sure you're being paid fairly. And I feel like once we stop looking at like money and income and debt is like a scary topic and just like a fact of life, everyone's got some kind of debt they're servicing, even if they're in a really good spot where it's like just a monthly phone bill and internet and whatever. You know, once you stop looking at it as scary, like it's just easy to tackle and it's easy to look somewhere for advice to help you achieve those next steps.
To kind of piggyback off of that, once people kind of are on a good, healthy term with money, because that's one of people's biggest problems, and then I think it'll be able to alleviate a lot of stress in their life, and then they'll be able to enjoy their lives and be able to focus on themselves. And I think once that is neutralized, because it's this huge contributing factor, right? A lot more people will be able to find themselves and delve deeper into their lives and their life purpose. And of course I'm going to turn it into something spiritual, but it really is, like, for me, like, money used to be such a stressful thing, and once I began to alleviate a bit of that stress, I began to find myself a little bit more, because I'm like, this intangible thing, this man-made intangible thing, is ruining my life.
Facts.
Literally. But like, what is it? It really,
Yeah.
what is it really? Like, why am I letting that affect my life so much? When I can correct the situation, move on, and then I can focus on the actual aspects of my life, like the real, like, tangible parts of my life that I can focus on.
Yeah. I used to be like that too. I used to get really stressed out, and then I kind of came to this point of realization where I was like, you know what, like, money comes and goes. As long as there's enough for like a roof over my head and food on the table, like, I'm happy. If I have some extra where I can do some fun stuff with it, maybe a trip, I'm happy too. But like, you know, even in my career, like, I want to be successful and I want to have a career that I'm like proud of, but like, I'm not aiming to make $1 million a year. I'm aiming to like live comfortably, whatever that looks like for me at that point in my life, you know,
because success looks like a lot of different things, and money is not the only contributing factor to success. But without having your money under control and facing your fear of money, I feel like it'll be hard to achieve success, because you'll constantly just be thinking that the only way you're going to be successful is once you're out of these debts, or once you have enough money. Yeah,
that's huge. I used to be terrified of making budgets, and then I felt like once I faced it, I'm like, why was I terrified of this piece of paper? What's going on? And I think a crazy idea to me is like, there's almost this contrast where it's like, I want to be comfortable, I want to be financially free, but I don't want to make too much money, because having so much money, winning the lottery, that's not always a good thing. And I want to be able to be in a comfortable situation where I can enjoy myself and not have to worry about it. And that's what I'm working towards.
I don't know about you guys, but like, I like love making my own money and like feeling like I'm like earning it. I feel like if I, you know, like came into some money like through like the lottery or something, I'd just be like, like, you know, I mean, it wouldn't be stressful. It'd relieve that stress, but like, even like, you know, like my parents have been like fairly generous at certain points in my life, and you know, they're like, oh, if you need to borrow some money for rent this month, like pay us back later, but like don't worry about it, like here's, you know, a few $100 or like whatever, like throughout university and stuff. And I'm like yeah, it'd be helpful, but like I kind of like earning things myself. It kind of feels like I'm achieving a goal.
I feel like it's totally different when you know you've put in the work, like you know, like I said earlier, it's your sweat, blood, and tears into that $20 bill, even if it's just a $20 bill.
I honestly think that I have the ability to manifest a big lottery win, and I think that's exactly why I don't win the lottery, because I know deep down, my soul knows I wouldn't be happy or satisfied because I didn't earn it.
I feel like it would relieve a lot of stress, but I don't think it would bring the happiness that people think it will. I think it would just be like, oh, thank God I don't need to worry about paying the bills.
But that's the game of life. We chose this life to go through these hardships. Why do you think people love playing Sims so much?
Oh, I love Sims. I love leaving them in the pool and taking out the ladder. That's so sadistic. So my stepsister and I were just texting about this. I've had a theory for like my whole life. That like in Canada, if you want to win the lottery, buy a ticket in the boonies. Like just go like an hour away from civilization in some little rinky-dink town and buy a ticket. And she just texted me the other day because, well, I guess by the time this comes out, it would have been a couple weeks. But this 18 or 19 or 20-year-old, like younger than us.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah, 18
won
years old.
$48 million.
For her first ticket.
First ever scratch ticket she bought. And she lived in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. So my stepsister's like, your theory is right. We're going on a road trip across Canada. That's why in the boonies.
Anytime I travel anywhere, I'm like, you know what? For good luck, I'm just going to buy a lottery ticket. Just in case.
I go between Ottawa and Burlington a lot. Or like Ottawa and Toronto or wherever the fuck. And I always stop in like Trenton or Mallorytown or Odessa, like one of like the random spots, and I pick up a lottery ticket, and I don't go to the on routes. I get off the highway, go into the little tiny town, and I buy a lottery ticket, and I haven't won a crazy amount or anything. I have always won.
Oh yeah, me too. And I think, you know what, to kind of top off that topic, I guess, like if I ever do win it, I feel like I would want to sort of spend it in a philanthropist way. Like I want to become a philanthropist. My brain is not braining, my tongue is not tonguing, but you know what I mean. It's something I feel like I would just, if I ever spend all that money, I feel like I would just like want to like donate it all or something. Like I would pay off my debts and pay off my family's debts and like just donate it, because like who's gonna be happy with all that money? Realistically, people always end up bankrupt. Let's be real.
You know what's funny? I always think like, if I won $1 million, I'd literally buy most of a house in Toronto and still have a small mortgage. Like I remember being
but that's smart though, because you know what? You know Adele, she's a millionaire. Her and her hubby have so much money and they opted for a mortgage, which is so smart, because over time you're like
Yeah.
I know what you mean. You know what I mean. But like over time, you're like, instead of spending all that money on one house, you could invest it in other areas while still having a mortgage and paying those increments every month.
I just think the idea is so funny that like when we were little kids, winning $1 million was literally like life-changing money. And
it
now it's like
anymore.
Now it's like you could buy 3/4 of a house in
That's
Toronto
wild.
and still carry a mortgage. Like that's how much $1 million gets you these days. Like it's hilarious.
It's so different.
Like $10 million would make a significant impact, but that's not like crazy private jet money anymore.
No. That's the thing. I honestly think if I ever come across any type of money like that, it wouldn't sit right with me if I know people are hungry or cold outside in the middle of winter. Like I would feel so dirty having it sitting in my bank account. That's why. That's another reason why I probably, if I ever do win it, I would want to like donate, because to me that idea is crazy, having so much money
just sit there.
And like it could change someone's life.
Like think about it. We're all dying. We're all going to the same place. We're not taking any of our money with it.
Like, might as well spread it.
Like live like a comfortable like lifestyle, but like you don't. Like, no one needs, like, their own yacht and shit. Like, it's absurd.
Like, have you heard, really, really off topic, but on Netflix there was a new documentary called Gunther's Millions, where an heiress who had tons of money, her and her hubby had so much money from a pharmaceutical company, their son had died from suicide, and they ended up getting a dog, I think, which they already had or had after, named it after their son, Gunther, and once they both died, the couple died, they actually put a trust in the dog's name, and now they keep breeding the dog and they keep renaming it Gunther. So the first one they ever had died. After they died, they had another dog that was bred from the initial dog, and it's just like a dynasty of German shepherds called Gunther with $500 million.
That is insane.
So okay, that reminds me of a John Green book I read. I think it was Turtles All the Way Down. This millionaire or whatever, he was like a philanthropist or something, and like real big into animals, real animal dude. You know,
big into animals.
Big into animals. Big fan of animals.
Oh God.
not like sexually. Like,
okay, no bestiality here, please.
This guy was like a fan of iguanas and shit. You know, like me with sharks. So, he had kids, but in his will, he left all of his fortune to an iguana.
Oh my God.
In this book, and that like just made me think. But like, so this iguana was like a multi-millionaire, and his kids had fuck all.
No, that's wild.
Like teen children
if you have
who
kids,
were orphans.
Come on, leave them some money. Like a
Leave
little bit.
But I also like, I guess this is also a bit off topic, and we'll reel it back in quickly, but I feel like wills and like people with money passing always creates so much tension within family.
Drama.
Brings out such an ugly side of people, and I feel like that's another reason money has such a bad name. Like,
you know what's
the
crazy?
greed.
Estate tax.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that.
Like, it's giving someone, like, being like, I'm done with this money because I'm deceased, you can have it, give 25% of it to the government that wasn't previously being taxed.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, so you like estate tax when you transfer funds
from
I don't know if it's
estates?
a Canadian thing. I think it is, but it's definitely an American thing.
It's in Canada too.
Okay, yeah, I thought so. But yeah, like when you transfer your estate, if your estate's worth like I don't know, like $1 million, the government can tax a certain portion of that wouldn't otherwise be taxed as like income or capital gains. Like, so it's a higher percentage.
You're living, you get taxed. You're dying, you get taxed. Like, what else? I mean, you can tax my freaking dog
so
too.
Your,
like,
you know, your like grandpa can be like, oh, here's $1, and the government's like, here's 50 cents. Like, it's like that kind of
wild.
Shit. And I know this because I play this game called BitLife, and I always get real rich on BitLife, and then pass my inheritance down to one child, and they get a major estate tax.
And they get
So I lose half my freaking net worth every time I like start a new life as my kids.
I feel like we should play Monopoly. I feel like I would really own you.
Bruh, we should play the game of life. I'd sue you constantly.
Listen, somehow I'll end up on the top.
Kids.
Together?
Monopoly it is, and we'll play the new version.
Oh, I love it.
With the credit cards.
Oh, there's credit cards?
Oh, yeah.
Are you kidding?
I've got it.
You have it? Can we play?
Yeah, we'll definitely play it, and we'll
have to allocate our time.
Yeah. But yeah, kind of to wrap it up then, I feel like I think our biggest takeaway from this would be just that budgets are important, and if budgets don't work with you, just being honest and transparent with yourself about your financial situation and not being ashamed or afraid. We have our Friday advice, so this Friday's advice will make sure to include some links to some budget tips, the 5 Dave Ramsey's steps to financial freedom, and also like we'll put it in like almost like a little blog style post, and give you guys access to an Excel sheet for a budget. And yeah, do you guys have any final words to add?
A couple books I would recommend reading that would also create a different perspective in terms of budgeting and money is Richest Man of Babylon, which is something not a lot of people hear about reading. It's more so a story that you can learn from. And then Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is pretty basic, but everyone I think should benefit from.
Yeah. I'd say too, The Secret, and I think it ties
into kind of being able to get whatever you want, manifestation.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's not specific about money, but and finances and stuff, but the power of attraction and how you think about your situation.
Ooh, we'll actually have a full episode on that, I think.
Yeah, we will. Yes, we will. But still, it applies here too, so check it out.
Thank you for watching today's episode or listening to us. As usual, we're on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok,
Apple Music,
yes,
Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, quite a few other things.
Yeah. You'll find us as your.homegirls, and we'll see you guys next time.
Your.home.girls.
Are you delusional? It's your.home.girls.
Yeah, that's what I just said. I just stroked out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your.home.girls.
Oh, can we just cut that out?
No, that was good.
No, that was
okay.
Good. We'll be there.
Oh my god.
It was such a good outro.
We
were just shooting. You never watched those cartoons growing up where they say stupid shit at the end and it's like done.
Okay.
Bye.
See you. Bye.
Guys, that was okay, love you. Thank you. Have a good day. Don't forget to budget.